Everyone, welcome to How's Your Wine, episode 12. And today you'll be watching Courtney Guntz talk about her career transitioning from the culinary space into the wine space. A very interesting story. She goes at length to talk about just how she grew up in Texas and how she's pivoted now with the recent move to California. So stay tuned and really enjoy her journey and how she's grown in today's day and age. All right, welcome to How's Your Wine. This is your host, Nelson Riabor, and I'm here with Courtney. She is out in Sonoma, California, but you're not from Sonoma.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit more about your
Yeah.
story and where you're from originally.
So I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and then raised in Texas. Been in Texas since I was one or two. So in Fort Worth, went to Crowley High School.
Word?
Yes,
What year were
yes.
you
That's why I asked.
traveling?
2007. I graduated. '07.
I got some homies from the neck of the woods, so I might have to hit
Really?
them up and ask.
That's why I was wondering. I was wondering where what part Fort Worth, Dallas you were from.
I'm actually from Grand Prairie, which is close to Fort Worth.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's some people that I know that obviously stay in Fort Worth or kind of grew up in that Crowley area. So I might have to reach out to them and
Mhm.
connect y'all.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That would
Yeah,
be so dope.
got
No,
you.
for sure. Yes. So, yeah, I was raised in Fort Worth, Texas. I graduated 2007. I went to Sam Houston State for a couple of years, then came back. My story from then is just basically I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to
I
do,
do
which
like that.
I feel like that's more of a typical story though that a lot of people don't want to talk about because it's
Mhm.
that transition. You don't really necessarily get too much of an opportunity to figure out from that 18 to 21 what you actually want to do.
Mhm.
You're just thrust into after high school, figure it out. And that was pretty much where I was. I changed my major 4 times. I went all around before I actually ended up where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I was working at Chase Bank for 5 years. And it's interesting. I was doing the cooking for all the potlucks.
So you was throwing down for real, for real.
I was cooking for the potlucks, and it's just something that, it's interesting when you look back to the things that you would do for free, that didn't require you to for any of those reasons. You just loved it. In high school, I was in cooking competitions. You know, um, Even growing up, I had my easy bake oven. I always tell the story about my easy bake oven because you couldn't tell me nothing when I was in my room making those cookies. But it's just little things like that still, when you look back on it, they still lead you to where you actually end up. So one of my coworkers who was a chef, who used to be a chef, he was a personal banker. And he mentioned to me one time, he was like, you really are pretty good. You should look into cooking or being a chef or, along those lines. And I was like, really? It's something that I'm surprised it didn't even dawn on me then, but he said something about it. And then that's when I started digging. I started looking just into different culinary schools in the area. And one of my coworkers, one of my still remember her, Michelle, she told me that her boyfriend's neighbor was a chef. And he posted on Facebook that he was looking for chefs in the area. And she connected me to him. He was my first mentor. His name is Jaron Spears, Chef Jay. He's in the Dallas area. He's actually the only Black hibachi chef in the Dallas area right now. So he goes by the Black Dragon. So shout out to you, my first mentor, Chef
What's up?
Jay. Yeah, he literally. I remember a conversation we had. I was in Houston. My grandparents. At the time they had a 57-year wedding anniversary party. And I remember calling him, and he just literally said, "What do you want? What do you want to do?" I was so nervous to talk to him. And I said, I just want to cook. I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do, but I just want to cook." And he said, "Well, can you boil water?" And I said, "Yes." Well, he said, "Okay, we'll show up at Embassy Suites downtown Fort Worth at 5 a.m. and we'll see what you can do." And literally from then on, that set the tone.
Well,
So
shout out to
then
Chef
for
Jay.
yeah, shout out to Chef Jay, literally. And he gave me an opportunity, gave me a shot. He didn't ask for any credentials. He didn't ask where I used to work or if I have any experience. He just said I could teach anybody.
How did it feel to
So,
have somebody like that, trust you off the bat?
I mean, it felt like finally, somebody who's just willing to just give you a shot. You know, you have so many points in time where everybody wants to see what you have on paper before they actually just see you in action.
Hmm.
And he didn't care about what anything looked like on paper. He just wanted to see me in action. And he would make his decision. He wouldn't allow what I wrote down on a resume to determine if I was actually good enough or not. And I think if a lot more of us get that opportunity, just that one opportunity, I think we would actually be able to surprise ourselves a lot more. I think we'd be able to test ourselves a lot more, and we would be able to put ourselves in positions that we wouldn't have been able to get in otherwise. So it from then on, I spent, I want to say, up until literally last year, just working on my culinary career. I got hired at the Worthington. So let me backtrack though real quick. He put me on as a temp. So I was a temp at the convention center, the Fort Worth Convention Center, and just anywhere else I could just get in the door. And that's just basically how I started out. And then I got my first job at the Worthington Hotel, and I was there for 3 months. He called me. He said, "Hey, we finally have an opening at the convention center." And I said, "I just got a job. I don't want to leave just yet." But I wanted to work at the convention center so bad. But I was like, "I just got a job. Let me be good."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he called me back again. He said, "They're still hiring." And then I quit the Worthington and I went to the convention center. And then I was there all the way up until 2019. And I worked my way up. I was a temp at the convention center. They hired me, and then I worked my way up to supervisor as well.
How long was that period?
2 years.
2 years. So you was quick, and then like just kept rising and growing, and
Yes, because when you're thrown in, when you don't have any outside distractions or anything else, I mean, what else is there for you to do? Like, it was like giving me all the work,
yeah.
giving me everything. Long hours, showing up to work at 2 a.m., sometimes not leaving till 1 a.m. Um, I'm kind of like a workhorse like that. I just tease my mom, my mom and my dad. I'm like, I don't know how you raise somebody who can work for 12-hour days. Like, what is
That's
that?
fine, yo.
Yeah, it is. It felt like it. It felt like it, but it was a fun grind. You know you're enjoying what you're doing when you realize after 8 to 10 hours that you hadn't even moved from that one spot. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a different kind of mental strength you have to have.
Where did you feel like you developed that fortitude to like, okay, I can put in 8, 10, 12 hour days?
Um, I still ask myself that question. But I think the reason why I'm able to do it is because I'm one of those people that my mental capacity, I need to be able to consistently keep myself active in that and what I'm doing.
Hmm.
So the minute my focus is extremely strong, especially when I'm passionate about something, especially when I'm dedicated to that. And so as long as I can keep my mental there, then I can go all day. I still ask my mom that. She says, "I don't know. Aaron, when you were little, you were just always like that." But I take it.
Yeah.
It definitely it applies when to things that I enjoy. But when I get bored, that's when my mind goes squirrel elsewhere.
So now you are in Sonoma. So from 2019 to now, describe that part of your life and your journey.
Yes, absolutely. So I left the convention center on my own right before the pandemic happened. Oh my gosh, I can't believe. I'm sorry. Sidebar. What are you drinking? And I don't have my glass.
You can go get the glass. I got this called Inconspicuous. It's a Zinfandel. This is a
Ooh.
2020 from your neck of the woods, Sonoma County.
Oh, that's dope. Okay, let me bring you something. I got something from South Africa.
Yeah.
This one's from Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, man. Trader
Hey,
Joe's.
Trader Joe's got it on deck.
Trader Joe's, man. I tell you, yesterday I had something else too that was so dope. I'm so sorry about your Cowboys, though. I apologize.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts. I'm keeping that part though. That's organic. I got to keep that in there.
Yeah. Um, this here, 60%, 60% Chenin, 20% Muscat, 20% Chardonnay.
You like the Muscat grape?
I do. I had it more along the lines of as a blend. Um, my thing is, I think we spoke about this. I'm an Alvarino fan, Toronto's fan. I love acid. Ah, coming out here, it's a whole thing. I love acid. Okay, sorry.
Are you good?
So, um, where was I? Okay, so I left the convention center and I got a job at Cook Children's in Fort Worth. And I was there during the entire pandemic. I never lost my job. It's the craziest thing. And I feel like that move, for some reason, it wasn't anything specifically to cooks, but it was just the convention center. I could only do so much.
Hmm.
When the convention center is open, they're open. When they're closed, and you don't work. So I knew I wasn't able to stay consistently there. Plus, as a supervisor, there's only so many positions to get hired, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to make some moves. I also started doing different private services, so just meal preps and things like that. So in between there is when I was here and there, and in the convention center, the one thing I will say about catering is it definitely taught me how to be a leader, how to guide others. I learned so much about myself, and it was a beautiful experience. But one thing I did notice about me is that you can cook for 6,000 people, and that's great. And that's such a high, to go through that whole entire experience. But at the end of the day, it still wasn't me. When I got a taste of actually cooking for somebody in their house, that was the game changer for me. So I started doing more of that as much as I could.
Mm.
Then I was at the convention. Sorry. Then I was at Cooks. Got hired there, and I knew I was just going to be there for a little bit. I knew I wasn't going to stay. I started building up my meal preps, and that was at a great time as well too. Even though I know it's a pandemic, so it was a lot for a lot of people. But at the same time, nobody was going anywhere. But where was I? I was going to their house, so I was bringing the restaurant to them, and I
Hmm.
had my meal preps, and they were getting busier and busier and busier, and more and more and more. And it got to the point to where I had to call out too many times. And so I realized if I'm calling out of work, then this is something over here that I need to do. So then I left. I left, and I was 2021. Actually, dang, this seems like it's so long ago.
I'm flying by sometimes.
It. I'm like, wow. Like, I mean, it's already 2023. That's a whole different conversation. But I had my clients. I had a family that I was cooking for in 2021. I met I met her, Rosalind. I met her when I was doing a spa party. And I was doing their lunches. I was bringing them, setting up the salad bar,
That's
things like
fancy.
that. Yeah, it was so dope. I met her there, and she hired me on to cook at her sister's house. And so I was cooking for her and the family for a while. And that was beautiful. That was so beautiful. That let me know that that's when it came to my culinary career. I feel like that was when I hit like, this is what I love to do. because it was just something about seeing the change that you're able to make when you cook for a family, especially with how busy life is.
Hmm.
And then even cooking for the kids, that was so beautiful because I'm like, I can cook for teenagers. They ate my food.
That's what's up.
And that's already a tough one sometimes.
Yeah.
So, they just just the excitement of me asking them, what do you want to eat? Them having the opportunity to say, and me being able to provide that for them. I feel like that was the highlight. That was such a beautiful thing. And then it came to the end of 2021, and I couldn't cook for them anymore. I think that kind of dwindled out. It was only going to be for a certain period of time, and then I just kind of had to keep moving forward. Um, 2022, the beginning of 2022 is when I started the Chef Initiative officially, got my LLC, and I was doing dinner parties. Shout out to Mary Soyemi, who is with Simply Chic Florals. Um, she was my event planner, florist, everything. Like, we were doing these dinner parties together. I did her husband's birthday party, and she decked out her home like I have never seen before. And it was a three course, I want to say it was a three-course plated dinner at her house. And that's when the dinner party bug started.
This is still in Fort Worth,
This is in Dallas at the
Dallas.
time.
Okay.
So I will say this. I will say this. None of my clients, none of my private clients, like that I'm cooking in their homes, like they weren't in Fort Worth. I was in Fort Worth my whole life and never went to Dallas. You already know you have to plan to go to Dallas. You don't just
Right.
go to Dallas.
Yeah, you just gotta be vice versa.
So yeah, like you don't. So I want to say between 2021 up until last year was the most I'd ever been to Dallas in my entire life. All of my clients were in Dallas. All of the families I was cooking for, they were in that Dallas area. So um all of the dinner parties at the time. So I'm cooking for her and she's in Dallas, and it was just her and I looked at each other. And when I found out that she set up the table, oh my God, I'm like, you did this? She's like, yeah, this is what I do. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, we can do this together. We can do this together. Our dinner parties after that came from that party.
Mm.
Every party we did after that was just an extension of the party we did before.
What did it feel like, or how did it feel like to know that you could blend your passion with someone else's passion and make just like magic?
I feel like that's what it's supposed to be. I feel like that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, I feel like that's the dream, really. When you're able to do it how you envision it in your head and you have support there. That was the most beautiful thing. And I feel like that was a creative outlet for the both of us.
Hmm.
I felt like we trusted each other. We still do. I felt like it was that time where I finally felt like, oh, got it. Okay, this is all of this up and down and back and forth and going from here to there. This was the purpose. This was the reason. Because I'm utilizing these skills that I learned from being at the convention center. I'm utilizing these skills in catering and I'm applying them here.
Hmm.
But I get to actually ask you how your food is. I actually get to see you enjoy it. That was the biggest thing for me.
So
Biggest thing.
basically, when you were in the convention center, you were cooking, but like it would just go, and you couldn't
It
see
would
the
just go.
feeling, the passion that people were having.
Yeah. It was a high because it was so busy and it was so chaotic and it was everything and it was and that's all well and good. And then you go across the street to the bar and you And then
Yeah.
you just release all of that finally, But not one time am I actually able to go to the customer and actually see how what I prepared is affecting them. Not one time. And I needed that. I
Do you
needed
feel
that.
disconnected, or like what was the feeling that you got?
Yes, it was disconnection. It was like the only connection I really had was if, we're in the kitchen and we're tasting, and that was the part of, with culinary, and that was really great. I really did enjoy that, but it was just between us. It was just between the team. But it wasn't a connection between the team and the customer directly. But when you're in somebody's home cooking for them, you're literally seeing them take their first bite. You're literally hearing the silence at the table because everybody's eating. You're literally seeing, they're watching you cook. They're watching you plate and they're in awe because they don't get to see that either. We think the kitchen to the customer, but when's the last time you actually been able to be as a customer waiting for your food, but you get to see the chef making it?
I mean, it's very rare, unless you're at like, hibachi grill or
Right.
Mongolian grill, right?
But you are seeing a lot more kitchens
Yeah,
that
you
have
are.
that open concept. So
Have you been
whenever
to
I
the
do go
Charles
to
in
a
Dallas
restaurant,
too? They got
huh?
that type of
At
experience.
where?
The Charles?
The Charles? Never
Yeah,
been there. I gotta go.
you
That'll
gotta
be on
go
my
next time you're
list.
in Dallas.
Yeah, that'll be on my list for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And you see a lot more open concept kitchens. Being out here, I see a lot of open concept kitchens where you see them doing the work. And I love it so much because I'm looking at everything. I'm looking over the counter and I'm like, I don't know what that is. I know what that is. And one thing I will say when it came to the transition into wine happened because I wasn't pairing the wine correctly. And I knew I wasn't pairing it correctly because the flavor profile to me it was okay, but it was still typical. And I felt as though, it's easy for you to just go and get your, and this is no shade to anything or anybody, but it's easy for you to just go get your Moscatos and your pink Moscatos and your bubbly and just grab something and but I'm in my mind I'm like no there's so much more to it. There's so much more to it. There's so much more purpose that goes to this. I did all of this for this meal, but this wine isn't paired right. I don't like that. I did not like that at all. So then that's when it was the second shift. The first shift was like that curiosity with culinary. I
Mhm.
went through that period of time, and then I felt like at that point was when the transition happened into wine, for sure.
Wow. Wow. Like, so you dropping super, super duper gems. And now with you transitioning from Dallas, Fort Worth to Sonoma, from culinary to now culinary and wine, right?
Mhm.
Describe this latest transition and how it is to be working at a vineyard and really focus in on the wine food combos.
Absolutely. So I'll say when I started going down the rabbit hole, when I realized that I wanted to be in wine for sure. It would have been easy for me to just find somebody locally who's more into wine and have them just do the pairing and go from there. But I'm not that kind of person. So, got to do it myself.
For sure.
So I found Tish Wiggins, Tish around town. Man, it's my second mentor. And I sent her a DM. So I'm good at that. I slide in DMs. I messaged her. I said, "You're in Dallas. You're black. You're beautiful. You look like me. You do wine. You know it. You're dropping gems. Can we meet up?"
Hmm.
Funny story. When I realized that I wanted to be in the wine, I applied at a wine bar in Dallas. I won't say which one, but
Oh, yeah, don't say.
they didn't. They didn't hire me, but I understood why. It's because I didn't have certain credentials, which was fine. Well, what ended up happening is when Tish said, "Well, hey, let's meet up." Guess where she had us meet up at?
That
At the
same
same
spot.
wine bar 3 months later that didn't hire me, but she worked there. Didn't know that. So that was sign number one. We met up and we just talked for about an hour and a half or so. And she, same scenario. What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting, that kind of same flip.
Right, right.
And I was telling her basically the same story all the way up until then. And she said, well, you know what? If you really want to learn about wine, you can always just move to California. And I'm like, what? How? Where? Who? What? When? Where? Why? And she told me about the Eurasian Project apprenticeship with Silver Oak. And that was December 6th that she told me about that.
Of
They
2021 or 2022?
2022.
2022. So like last month.
2022. Yeah. No, no, I'm sorry. It is 2021. So sorry.
2020, no, you good. It's 2023. I'm like,
2021.
hold on, let me check real quick.
I know, right? Let me go back. I'm so sorry. Let me go back. Okay, get the dates right. Okay. 2021, December 6th, she told me about the Eurasian Project apprenticeship with Silver Oak. So from 2022, January, all the way up until May, I applied on the last day of the application process, which was February 28th of 2022. And I was still doing my dinner parties. I was still building that without knowing if I was going to go or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I applied on the last day because I doubted myself, because I said, I don't have these credentials. I'm just coming from a culinary background. I barely know about wine, but I know that I want to learn more. And I know that I'm passionate about growing. I know that once I set my mind to something, it's very hard for me not to not to get what I want. So I applied and didn't hear anything from the first interview until March. Meanwhile, I'm still at the time having my clients, doing my meal preps, I'm still working,
Right, right.
still working. And it was so interesting because when I got the second interview, I was like, okay,
Now you feeling now?
still
Okay.
working,
Now I got
still
it.
working, still
Yeah.
doing my thing, but I'm just like, okay, okay, cool. But it was April 20th, 420.
For 20, okay.
And when I got the call, I was like, I cried. I cried because I was like what? Me? Like
Right.
me? Like I have, you think these things about yourself, but at the end of the day, you know why? They said your passion. It's just your passion. And it was the second time somebody said yes without looking at what's on paper. And that was the second time. And so going back to that first part, the first question you had, how did that feel? It felt like deja vu almost. Because it was like, I've been told no.
Mm-hmm.
I was just told no about getting hired
Yeah.
because I didn't have what's on paper. But here I go. Now, if you think about it, if I would have gotten that job, would I have even thought about applying? Who knows? But me just continuing to just say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I know I'm supposed to do it. I know it doesn't look like I have
Mm-hmm.
all of these things lined up, but for some reason I feel like I still have to do it. So why can't I do it? And somebody said, yes, you can. And so when I told Tish, she was like, what? You got a job? I was like, I know, they told me. And then the beautiful part about it is that it was only supposed to be one. It was only supposed to be one of us. And they chose two. So my partner in crime, my roommate, I look at her as a sister too. At this point, Talia Suggs. She, yeah, it's been a true blessing, to be honest. It's been a true, true blessing. When we both found out that it was us that got it, we got each other's information and we were on the phone for like an hour and a half, just geeked out. She's from Pennsylvania. And she's the co-founder of Sisterhood of Winos. So her knowledge coming in, I ask her so many questions. She comes from a wine background.
Mm-hmm.
So that combination of the both of us, they chose both of us because they couldn't pick between. And what ended up being the biggest blessing about it all is that we really needed each other. And it was so important for them to choose two people because this is a lot. It's a lot. We both moved to a place that we've never been to before by ourselves. And the program started in July. So we literally met each other for the first time in July of last year. And going through this program with somebody, being able to just have a support system,
Mm-hmm.
being able to just have somebody that off top, it's like you just trust. Like you just trust immediately. And it's really beautiful. It's made this experience. It was already life-changing, but it has made this experience just like soul stirring in a sense, like very purpose. Like it's not just coming out here to have a job, like it's
Right.
actually coming out here with purpose, coming out here with the mission. Um, okay, sidebar. Sorry. Remember I told you about my roommate coming? Okay.
Go
So
ahead, bring out the
dinner.
plate. Let's go. Come on now. Let's
I
go.
mean,
Don't be
I
shy
told
now.
him I told him that I was cooking dinner, so I was like, "This is real life." But he was like, "Let me see the plate."
It ain't there yet.
What? Oh no, it's in. It's,
I know,
but
it's not there
but
yet.
you good?
When
Okay.
it's there, let me know.
Oh, you ready then? Okay. I got you. I was gonna say I am not trying to have you starve. This is real life.
Lucky I'm a big appetite.
Girl.
I'll be right back from work.
Oh, okay.
So, how would you describe how you're feeling like for this year? You know, just the first full year out in Cali. What are your dreams that you hope to accomplish by the end of the year?
Oh, that is such a tough question. Okay. I feel like is so the program is over in June,
Mm-hmm.
the year-long program. And we're going through the rotation of wine making. So we started out in viticulture, which was the most eye-opening experience being out in the vineyards, actually in the vineyards, in the mountains. If you ever can get out here, I will happily take you out there.
I'm
Like
gonna have to
it's
make that
just
move.
please, it's just the most I feel as though when I finally that's what made me really fall in love with wine. Because when the first time we stepped out in the vineyards, it was like, this is really happening. That's when it felt like this is really happening. It's the most beautiful thing. The different climates from just one part of the valley to the other is completely different. Just looking at the grapes on the vine, you're literally looking at a living, breathing entity, and you have so much more respect. So much more respect. So, and then we went and did harvest. It was my first harvest. Crazy. Craziest experience ever. Remember, I told you I could stand for 8 to 12 hours? That was tested. We had many 14-hour, we had like three or four 14-hour days. Good God. And as much as I can stand for 8 to 12 hours, it was not the same. It was not the same at all. It was a completely different experience. It was a completely different feeling, but respect to that. And I feel like I'm a crazy person because I want to do it all over again. Um, and then when it was the holiday season, we went to fulfillment, which was really just it was shipping and customer care, which is that's front lines as well too, because you are talking to people, even though you're talking to them on the phone, you may not be seeing them in person, but that's still a different experience as well too. And you're selling the wine to them. You're selling to corporate companies, you're selling to people who want this wine on their table for the holidays.
Right.
It's a really big thing. That was beautiful as well too, and I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the fact that I'm a problem solver, that I can solve problems, and that I'm actually a lot more patient than I thought, because those are moments where you have to be patient. Now we're in marketing, which takes it to a completely different level, because you don't even realize all the different steps that it takes at all. Before we got here, our current supervisor basically just laid out some interests that we may have. So, photography, blog posts,
Yeah.
newsletter, recipe development, the dinner series that they do, just different avenues that just have to do with marketing. And you're like, oh my God, you do all of this?
It's tough.
And then next in March and April, we'll be in wholesale distribution. And then May and June will be in the tasting room and retail, and that will end out the program. So, in answer to your question, I'm still in the educational stage, I feel. I have different visions in my head of what I would love to do. And I feel like a big one is continuing to continuing to be more involved with how food and wine are paired together. It's the more wine I taste, and also the more opportunity I'm able to cook. So the most beautiful part about it is that Talia is a great cook as well. For me, I know food and wine is just, I'll give you an example. Like when I really realized that food and wine was something so beautiful and so magical. So as I'm tasting, I'm learning about tasting notes. I'm learning about um, on your palate. Re- I just got the information that I passed my WSET, my level one.
Okay.
So I'll be,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'll be as soon as I'm able to getting ready to do my level two. And so, but just the beginning, just really learning about the different complexities of acid and salt and fat, and just all of those things that you taste separately, but when you bring them together, it's just a whole completely different experience. And so what I've realized with myself is I taste differently. I came into wine personally saying I cannot stand that white wine just goes with fish and chicken and red wine goes with beef. And I can't stand that. It just bothers me so much. It's like, of course there's parts that do go. Of course, I understand that, but that's not where it should begin and where it should end. And so I came in wanting to see the differences, wanting to see, well, if you're actually just tasting more of the complexities in the wine, and you're actually tasting the more complexities in your food, it can all go together. Say, for instance, you have a Zinfandel, there's a smoky note to it, right? Well, if you're smoking something, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be smoked salmon, smoked chicken,
You had a little bit more flavor, a little bit more kick to it.
but you're smoking it. It can still go with the wine because it's the component. It's so I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, what about cooking techniques actually pairing with the wine versus it just being the food in itself? If you're grilling something, that's a completely different flavor component that you're getting. It doesn't matter what you're
Mhm.
grilling, but you're still going to get that grilled flavor. You're still going to get that complexity. Like you're going to get that. Why not pair that with the wine in that particular way? And once I started thinking along those lines, then I was like, ooh, it changes a little bit of everything. And so Talia, she did one of her meals. She did shrimp and grits. Oh my God, it was so fire. But she had a brown Zinfandel, and I feel like this is a story you will probably hear multiple times because we will tell this story a lot, which is the most beautiful part about us being able to cook just for each other, and just so because it's a lot. to cook
Yeah.
for families and things like that. So to be able to give ourselves a break and just kind of alternate, just give her a break one week, give me a break one
Right.
week. And it's really beautiful because it's allowed us to be more creative with our meals. And so she did the shrimp and grits. She paired it with the brown Zinfandel. And it was fabulous. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And somebody else probably would have not even tried to pair the Zinfandel just because it was shrimp and grits. Meanwhile, the reason why, in my opinion, it paired very well is because if you think about it, if you pair acid with, if you pair acid, let's say this, what does acid do when you drink it? It makes your mouth water.
Hmm.
Well, if you have a lot of oil and fat in your food, it's oil and water. Technically, that's not mixing well in your mouth. So you just have a lot going on.
Right.
And when she paired the Zinfandel, it actually dried your mouth out just enough because it was had just enough tannins to kind of release a little bit. So then when you actually were tasting the shrimp and the grits and that fat and the butter and the oil, it wasn't overpowering. You didn't have a lot going on here. You actually were able to taste both together, and the smokiness of the Zinfandel went beautiful with the shrimp. And she had a little bit of that turkey bacon in there as well too. So that smokiness, like really, see, painting the picture for
Stop.
you.
Stop playing. Stop playing with us right
I'm not.
now.
I'm just saying, sir. This is what happens on a typical Wednesday night.
Yeah. So what's your
And it was
go-to
just
meal if you're throwing down like you have one meal to make?
ah, that's a tough one. Okay, two of the meals, like the one I'm making right now, the stuffed shells. I've made that many times. It's the first time I've made it out here, but I've made that many times. I love the stuffed shells. I don't eat pork or beef like that for my own purpose reasons, but we do eat a good amount of turkey and things like that. And so, but you can use whatever ground meat you want to use. But the stuffed shells with the mushrooms and the peppers, and then um, and the ricotta. So, okay. So the stuffed shells, yes, I make that a pretty good amount, and I really enjoy it because it's really easy. But my meal that got me started cooking, period, and got everybody was my lasagna. Was my lasagna. That's the meal that every potluck I had to make, like every single one had to make this lasagna, and that's really what kickstarted my culinary career. And it was even on my meal plans for a little bit. I did a vegan lasagna, I did seafood lasagna, vegetarian lasagna, but it's the lasagna. Like that was one of the things that everybody loved so much. I enjoy it because it's so many different layers, and I like that. It's fun. You get your hands a little messy, a little dirty,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's one thing. And then my family, my mom's people, they are from Louisiana. And
Okay.
so Creole, any of those, gumbo and etouffee and just fried catfish, just any of that, that has my heart. So yeah.
So what are your plans after the apprentice is done? Are you planning on moving back to Texas, or do you feel like Cali has kind of got you in the in
Cali
the
the
vibe right
places.
now?
Cali is the place right now. I mean, I did not move all the way out here just to be out here for 1 year. I have so much to learn. I have so
Mhm.
much still to do, and we've made connections. We've already established a great relationship with each other, and so we've decided to stay together
Yeah.
for another year at least. And at the end of the program, it is contract, so um, who knows who knows what would be offered at the end of the program. And we are aware of that, and we know, but we have so many people within the program, within the company that we've been able to meet thus far that has just been so welcoming to us, that has really just opened up anytime we have a question, anytime we just want to pick their brains. They're like, let us know what you need. And that's given me the confidence to say I can stay out here for a little bit longer, because at the end of the day, I know I'll be okay. If the history has shown, you know, I can get a yes. Somebody's going to tell me yes. I've heard no, so I'm not afraid of a no,
Right.
but somebody is going to tell me yes. and I will stick to my passions and keep going in that direction because when I'm passionate, I get yes. When you're trying to just fiddle around and anytime I've been desperate or just trying to run around and just find something, that's when I've gotten a no. So I'll say that when you're passionate about something, that's when you get your yes. And so I feel confident in that. I feel confident in the fact that I am definitely staying in the wine industry has me in a chokehold already. I mean, it's just one of those things where I said this in my interview. I will be 90 years old and I will still learn something new about wine. I'll never know everything. And I love that. I love that. Who wants to know everything? That's so boring.
Boring.
It's so boring. There's so much wine out here in the world.
I mean, it's
There's so many different places.
so many different places. Recession proof, right? Like if the economy
Okay.
tanks.
Sidebar.
Go ahead.
I told my dad that I was like, Daddy, this is recession proof. You want me here?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if the world, like, if the world just went on its axis, and hopefully it doesn't, but wine's gonna be around. Wine's gonna change. The climate changes. Wine's still gonna be around. There might be different ways and different flavors, but wine's still gonna be there.
Yeah. Wine is in the Bible.
So everybody's sipping from BC to now. Like everybody's, we've all enjoyed wine. We've enjoyed the
Yeah.
vintages. We've enjoyed
Yeah.
the new releases. So it's definitely here to stay for sure.
Yeah. It is. It's not going nowhere. And that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Because that means that there's more people to come in to do different things. That means it's not just something that's just old and staying in one way. It's something that's going to always evolve. And like you said earlier, even with climate change, some people don't want to admit that, but it's true. But you see that the vines themselves, that's why I say they're a living, breathing entity because they found a way to still grow and to still sustain themselves regardless of what the what the earth is doing. It
Hmm.
basically you're basically watching what the earth is doing, and that's what's so beautiful to me. Like that's so beautiful. I love that. When is the last time you've been able to see something from the ground up? Like
I mean, that's a great question. I don't know. It's hard to say. I wanted to ask a question kind of based off your question that you gave me, 'cause I don't have a good answer for you. I guess you think about your family, like your little brothers and your sister. Like I'm oldest of four, so I've seen them like really grow from the ground
mm,
up. Like
aw,
human life evolve and mature.
that's
But
sweet.
when you talk about when is the last time you seen something grow from the ground up? I really love how you describe your transitions in life. From high school to college to culinary to where you are now with wine. Like, how would you talk to your younger self about dealing with transitions and continuing to push ahead?
I would tell myself I would tell myself that you're doing a great job. I would say you are doing a great job every single day. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Because I spent too much time beating myself up when I didn't have to. And that was too much stress, too much mental energy. And another thing I'm a big component of is mental health. I spent too much time allowing myself to feel bad when I did not have to. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, thank God I still pushed through. Thank God. Because there were moments when it was like, ooh, it was dark. It was so dark. And so even in those moments, I would say you're doing a great job. It may look like it looks right now, but you're doing a great job. Because at the end of the day, continuing to move forward, continuing to say, no, this is not where I want to stay. This is not where I want to be because I know there's something better. In 2021, even last year, I didn't know I was going to be out here. You could not have told me that I would live in California at the end of 2022 going into 22. You could not have told me that at all. But at the end of the day, I still knew that I had to put one foot in front of the other for some reason. And that is really what propelled me here. That's what got me here. So I would just continue to tell myself, back then, the 16-year-old version, the 20-year-old version, the 25-year-old version. I would just say you're doing a great job. You really are, because we don't tell ourselves that enough. We don't say give yourself grace enough. We don't give ourselves grace enough. We tell everybody else that. But when's the last time you even said you're doing a great job to yourself? We don't hear it enough. We expect other people to give it to us. So that's what I would.
You about to make me shed a tear right now, for real. Like you
No,
just,
don't cry. Well, if
I'm
you
not
want
gonna
to cry,
cry.
you. I ain't gonna tell nobody.
I'm not gonna cry tonight.
Okay,
Um,
it's
but
okay.
but Courtney, it's definitely been a super duper pleasure. Taking time out of your day to come on and chat. I know we've been messaging back and forth on Instagram, so definitely thank you for being patient with me and just being able to connect with me and the people that watch this. I hope they definitely appreciate how far you've come, the grind that you've shown, and just being a role model for everybody that's looking to get in the wine industry and grow. You definitely speak volumes for those people.
Thank you so much. Thank you for talking back and forth with me. I know I asked you a lot of questions.
Nah, you good. You good.
What are
I
you drinking?
appreciate
What
it.
are you eating?
I'm trying to
So
get into
thank you.
the wine vibes too. So just being able to maybe have a side gig just to complement with my marketing and advertising job, it would be
What do you do
super.
now?
So I'm in advertising, work at an agency in Fort Worth, and
Hmm.
I work remote, just
Oh,
chilling.
that's dope.
So I really want to, kind of chill out for a little bit because I just took the WSET Level 2 exam on Saturday, and
Yeah, how do you feel?
I feel really good. I actually feel really good. I passed the level 1 earlier
Yeah,
in October of last year, and just been studying nonstop for level 2, like right off the
yeah,
bat from that. So I need about a
yeah,
month or two, and maybe I'll start looking for wine bar gigs.
yeah. But you're doing it though, right? Like you said earlier, like wanted to get into the game. But I'm like, I've been able to listen to a couple of your interviews that you've had. You're really, really, really good at this.
Appreciate it.
Like this is really dope. So it's like you're already in it. Like you don't have to figure out if you're trying to get into the wine industry. You are.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
You're already doing it. You've interviewed a lot of people.
Yeah, you're my 12th person. I think a lot of the conversation has really been profound, though, like from mental health to wine um, to entrepreneurs, and
Yeah.
it just creates a passion for me to listen to more people and you know improve on what I'm doing as a person and what I want to do with wine. So these interviews have been really helpful just from my mental space as well.
Yes, absolutely. Well, keep doing it as long as it makes
Yeah,
you happy.
appreciate it.
Keep smiling with it.
I'm definitely gonna hit you up just to reconnect, off the interview, but hopefully we'll get this posted within the next, I don't know, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Then you
that
can
sounds good.
share it out, let your peoples know, and then we'll go from there.
Well, you're dope. You're doing a great job. Thank you. I
Appreciate it.
appreciate you.
All right,
All
Courtney.
right.
I'll see you around. Take it easy.
Bye.
See
Have
ya.
a good night.
You too.
Mhm.